Shloka 3.3 in particular. So when we discuss about Karma Yoga, we try to first identify within that spiritual domain, within the yogic domain, how can I classify my predominant personality type? Primarily, we have to look whether we tend to be more rajasic, sattvic, and things like that. Am I more extroverted and action oriented? Do I want to be of service to others? So this is we all have this tendency to want to do pravritti, outward activities, because as we know, we cannot sit even for a second, as the Lord says, without doing anything. So the tendency to be extroverted, or do I feel the need to bring about changes in the world as a means of my own inner development? So sometimes we can channelize that, our extroversion. How are we able to channelize using that spiritual thing that I focus on my own inner development? Or do I tend to be introverted and contemplative? So this is also, we say personality type, but generally when we talk from the spiritual context, those who are spiritually mature, they can learn to be nivritti. They don't have to be engaged so much in all activities. Am I ready to engage in deep study and dive within into the quest of self and the divine? So when we have a little bit of maturity spiritually, not just because we have a lot of trouble with the world and that's why I want to stay by myself. No, that is not the correct motivation. The correct motivation, if we withdraw from the world, is that I want to discover the true nature of reality, discover my own self. And then if I have to balance between the two, how does it look like? So the sense of balance we talk, it is different for each individual. Some person may need more outward activities spiritually also. So then they have to, be more involved in spiritual seva activities, and some don't need so much. They can just remain within. So again, I want to qualify. So here, when we talk about introversion, it is not just worldly introversion that I have a lot of trouble with the world and I don't want to deal with the world. So not that kind of introversion. Here, the introversion is for the deep quest, deep inner yearning, mumukshatva. Okay, so we will look at the class now. Okay, third chapter of Gita we are looking at. So here it was mentioned in the last class. The Lord, I kind of got cut in the last part of my thing. Talk about mukti, we discussed about karma yoga and all these other yogas. Where do they lead to? So in this path as such, in this thing, from the bhakti tradition, there are these things of what mukti is. When we talk about mukti, there is a slight difference between what is called in the bhakti tradition and in the general Vedantic perspective. So let us see if I can just, use such project part of that in the class. So there are different ways of how, let me see. So just give me a minute. Okay, so with projecting anything? No.
No.
Okay. Let me try again. Okay, yeah, good. Okay. So here, if you look at it, there are what is called as a different kinds of mukti. Mukti generally means freedom. Huh? So here we are going to discuss today a little difference between what we call as moksha. Moksha is also as liberation, So slightly difference between what we call as moksha or jivan mukti, and the mukti that is described. So when we talk in the perspective of karma yoga, raja yoga, or even predominantly bhakti yoga, especially in what we call the Vaishnava Sampradaya, where the Lord, as Lord Bhagavan, they try to attain this kind of muktis. So these are different kinds of liberations, different kind of freedoms. So that frees you from this world, but when after death, these kind of liberations are after death. What is it? First is Salokhya. Salokhya means the same realm, same loka, where the Lord dwells. Lord meaning that Saguna Brahma, that Lord in the form of the attributes, form attributes and all that, which we take sometimes as Vishnu, Ishvara, Shiva, and all this, right? So these are form based lords. So the desire of a devotee when he does sadhana is that ultimately he wants to be in the same place as the Lord. This is one kind of mukti. The other is called Sarupya mukti. Sarupya meaning that same form as the Lord. Huh? Not literally in terms of exact form, meaning that that kind of a presence, that like I should have that same presence, that same form, that same attributes also as the Lord. So that is called Sarupya Mukti. Then Samipya Mukti. Samipya meaning that kind of a close proximity, an intimate companionship with the Lord. So this is a desire of the devotee, because that we always have a longing, right? As most humans, there is a longing to be with someone or something. So that is that this kind of longing the devotee has. Then there is a Sayujya Mukti, meaning that merging in the Lord's essence, that form of that the essence of that Lord, that main beingness of that Lord. One tends to merge in it. Now, this is different to the mukti that Vedanta talks about, especially Advaita Vedanta. So, the mukti that we here talk about is freedom while you're living, Jivan Mukti. And ultimately, this leads to what we also call is moksha. Moksha is what is different. When we talk about moksha, it is not any of these four. So these four, are of the different thing. And so the Jivan Mukti or moksha, we say, it comprises of two things. One is it's called Jivan Mukti. We are freed in essence by living, meaning you just have the prarabdha karma, but the person is a saint. He's already freed. He's just continuing with his latent karma of this life. So he looks like a normal person, but he is freed internally. Then after the death of his body, there is what is called as a Videha Mukti, meaning that there is no form. He has attained that oneness without any upadhi, without any form of separation. Subtle body, gross body, nothing is there. That jiva has become one. This is the jivo brahmaiva napara, says Shankaracharya. That essence of the jiva has become one with that Lord. So this is the ultimate mukti or moksha that we are seeking. So I just mentioned this because we discussed about how karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and even dhyana yoga, they are for chitta shuddhi, we say. So, in our perspective of Vedanta, we engage in bhakti, we engage in karma and in dhyana, but not for any of the four muktis above. Huh? Not because we want to be near the Lord or one with the Lord. We worship the Lord, but we worship the Lord so that we can get that grace of the Lord, the blessing of the Lord, and attain that jnana, that knowledge, ultimate knowledge, and be free. huh? Okay, so this I just wanted to clarify, and so let's see. Okay. Now, we'll come back to our shlokas. So now we have looked at these shlokas, which start with the where in the shloka 6 and the shloka 5 actually, it was mentioned, Na kaschit shanamapi jato tishtatya karmakrit. Karyate vyavasha karma sarva prakriti jair gunaihi. Everything is driven by prakriti. The gunas of prakriti are pulling us and pushing us. So either they pull us down and make us sit, like how tamas does, or they push us, how rajas does, or sattvic, which uplifts us. So all this are constantly acting upon us. So how we can get to the state of naishkarmya? Naishkarmya is that state of actionlessness, beingness, which is the ultimate goal of all Vedanta's teachings. So how do we reach this? How do we reach this state of ultimate freedom? So here, this Lord mentions you cannot sit, you have to act. Karma yoga is prescribed for you because you cannot sit. Most of us are at this state where we have to do something. If not anything, we have to do sadhana, we have to do study, if not actions in the world. But karma yoga is a means where your work becomes your sadhana. So that is the point. Now it was mentioned, an example was mentioned, that let us say you're physically not moving, you're sitting somewhere and physically not moving, you want to rest in that state of beingness, but your mind is still thinking of objects. Karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudatma. The person who is contemplating in the mind of all the objects, he has dhamma, he is sitting, forcing all his senses, hands, feet, eyes, everything. He's keeping here, but his mind is going somewhere. So what happens if that mind person has not been able to train that mind? That person is mithyachara sa uchyate. That person is a hypocrite, meaning spiritually he is deluding himself. So here actually we have to make attempts to meditate. We have to make attempts to sit and also control the mind and all that. But somebody who is not completely ready, he gives up everything and tries to sit 24 hours or whatever waking state, trying to sit and meditate, that person is not fully ready according to the Lord. If he doesn't have any proper sadhana, proper training, and all that. So that is why the Lord here is proposing that person should actually be involved with karma yoga. He should do karma yoga. As we know, this chapter is karma yoga, right? So the Lord is talking to us about it. So then he says, Yastvindriyani manasa niyamya rabatejjuna karmendriya karma yoga yogam asaktah vishishyate. So now he gives the remedy. What is the solution for this? If because your mind is not able to be focused on your sadhana, you're trying to do whatever, but your mind keeps thinking of objects, you are dwelling on all the things you want to enjoy in the world, or you are dwelling in dvesha, raga or dvesha. Somebody said something, so your mind is just kind of dwelling on all those things. When all this happens, what the Lord's suggestion here is that the mind, if you if you are not able to control the mind, then what do? You try to control that senses, but engage that senses, direct those senses into action. Direct those senses into doing some sevas, doing some actions. So this is the remedy that the Lord is giving us. The path of karma yoga is this, you control the senses, meaning your physical senses, you control into some action, physical or mental action. You engage in that. So, and the mind is focused on that. The mind is focused on that kind of action. Okay, now let us look at the shlokas, and we will first chant these shlokas and then we will look at these things. Okay. All right. So you can repeat after me shloka number 7 onwards. Yestvindriyani manasa
Yestvindriyani manasa
niyamyarabhaterjuna
Niyamyarabhaterjuna
karmendriya karma yogam
Karmendriyai karma yogam
asaktasya vishishyate
Asaktasya vishishyate
niyatam kuru karmatvam
Niyatam
Niyatam
kuru
kuru
karmatvam
karmajyayo vyakarmanaha
Karmajayo hyakarmanaha
sharira yatra pichate
Sharira yatra vidyate
na prasiddhyeda karmanaha
na
Na prasiddhyeda
karmanaha
karmanaha
yajnarthat karmanonyatra
Yajnartha karmano
yatra
nyatra
lokoyam karma bandhanaha
lokoyam
Lokoyam karma
bandhanaha
bandhanaha
tadartam karma kaunteya
tadartam
Tadartham
karma
karma
teya
kaunteya
mukta samachara
mukta
Mukta
sangat
sanga
samachara
samachara
saha yajna praja srishtva
saha
Saha
yajna
yajna
praja
praja shristva
sorry, let's repeat. Saha yajna praja srishtva
Saha yajna
ya
praja
praja
shristva
swa
purovacha prajapatihi
purovacha
Urovacha
prajapatihi
prajapatihi
anena prasavishyadvam
anena
Anena
vishyatvam
prasavishyatvam
eshavostveshta kamaduk.
shavostvishakamaduk
Shavostvishtakamadak
Okay, so we will just look at this first. So here now, the Lord has concluded one part where he says that we have to engage in karma yoga. The one who engages in karma yoga by controlling the senses with the mind. That person is what karmendriya karma yogam. He remains unattached to that action, meaning he's not kind of working with raga dvesha there. So that person is following the correct path. He is the model for us, kind of thing. Now comes this part of yajna. So from this point on, the Lord is going to talk about yajna. So first I will just go through the shlokas and then we will look at it little deeper of what exactly is this context of yajna. So here the Lord says niyatam kuru karma. So niyatam, we will discuss this. Niyatam is our what is called as a nitya karma. The person who is doing nitya karma, what happens, that person is obligatory, like your regular duties. In the Vedic tradition, the nitya karma is different, but here nitya karma we can take as our regular daily duties, our job, our household work and all that, right? And naimittika karma, like we have other duties to people, our family, our in the Vedic tradition, our gurus and everybody, we have our duties also. So the Lord is saying, Niyatam kuru karmatvam. Do your duties, your prescribed duties or obligatory duties. Then karma jaya hi akarmanaha. That kind of action is superior to inaction. Like, let's say if you have some duty you have to do, you have to go to your house and all that. You decide that, no, it's better today I will just sit and enjoy here. So that kind of action is going to bring you more negative samskaras and more bondage by not performing action. So it is better you do your prescribed duties. Sharira yatra apicha te na prasiddhyet akarmanaha. Even the taking care of the body, the physical body, to take care of the physical body, you have to do something, right? You have to maintain the body, you have to at least eat, right? Or you have to keep the body clean, because the body, if you don't maintain, it will go. So action is almost essential aspect of life. It is the essence of life, right? What we call as life, the body and other things, maintaining the body, that action is essential. Yajnarthat karmana anyatra loka ayam karma bandhaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samacharaha. For the how should you act? This is where now Bhagavad Gita will difference. Action, everybody says in the world, right? Do something. But how should you act? Yajnarthat. For the sake of yajna, for the sake of sacrifice. Do your actions as an offering. Huh? So this is the difference, this is how the Gita's main point, that how should we do action? The world, the action that brings us bondage, every action in the world brings us some kind of bondage. So the action that we do has an offering. How do we offer and whom do we offer? So this is based on our beliefs, on how our sadhana is. If we are a bhakta, we offer all our things to the Lord. If we are seeking just moksha or we are seeking jnana, then we still do it as an offering to the Lord, but for the purpose of chitta shuddhi, for the purpose of purification. So we offer this as a sadhana. It's not because, many times when people do seva and other things, there's a wrong notion. People say, okay, I should get praised, I should get this one. So then we are missing that karma yoga part in there. We do it as an offering. So that is what the Lord is saying. When you perform action from that kind of an perspective, from that attitude, any work is okay. Mukta sangam, you're free from attachment. Because there is no attachment when you do it as an offering. Offering is letting go, right? You're giving it. You're offering that. Then he goes on to say, Saha, in this concept, he talks is how creation has come about. So before this, I just want to explain a little bit what exactly do we mean by yajna. So this point is a important point to understand because it will keep coming even in this chapter, in other chapters and all that. So in the olden days context, in the Vedic context, the Vedas context, even today you will see many places, if you go to temples and other places, people do this yajnas. So there is a fire, and in that fire, generally some things are offered. So you use a ladle, a kind of a long wooden spoon kind of thing, and you put the ghee, usually ghee, or sometimes the wood or other things which ignite that fire, right? And some other many things are offered in there. Like a lot of different things can also be offered, but general thing is you offer like ghee. So these are offered in the fire. Now, when you have made that offering, the fire is going to burn everything, right? So, but the way Vedas say, no, the results of your action accrue a merit for you. What you have given in there, that accrues some kind of a plus points for you. So this we don't see it. Where, how do we know that this accrues? So this is where, Vedas, we take the Vedas as the pramana. So they give different yajnas. There are different yajnas for different results. And these are all equated. So this is where, lot of people do this kind of yajnas, even in tradition, even in today context, many people do that. But it is not that kind of yajna that people follow these days. There is now the essence of yajna is taken in a different way. How the Vedic yajna, you had to have fire. Nowadays, the yajna is kind of a worship. Huh? You offer any kind of worship in the temple. Like, if many of you might have seen, if there is a Shivlinga, they offer water on the Shivlinga, flowers to God, or anything you offer, fruits and all that you offer, right? That is also that kind of worship is also, in a way, a kind of a later evolution, you can say, of the worship means of yajna. So, a and now when we talk from Bhagavad Gita context, yajna is offered in a even more sublime way in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita talks of yajna in different forms of worships. Even the breathing, pranayama is also a yajna. When you do the inhalation, the Lord will say later, when the incoming breath is offered into that outgoing, the outgoing is offered to the incoming, and the breath is regulated. That is an yajna, he says. And then he says, of all the yajnas, the greatest yajna is japa yajna, he says. You're offering japa, words, the mantras, one after another. That is also a yajna. So now this context of yajna, which is generally taken as a form, is used as illustration. Lord will still keep talking of yajna from the Vedic perspective. But what is offered, who is offered, to whom it is offered, for what purpose it is offered, that Bhagavad Gita will have different connotations in each way, because the whole of life is an yajna for a sadhaka. So ultimately, everything is the Lord. Everything is that supreme consciousness that will come in later mantras. Brahmarpanam brahmahavihi brahmagno brahmanahutam brahmaivatena gantavyam brahma karma samadhinaha. That Brahman is that ladle, Brahman is that ghee, Brahman is that fire, and Brahman is the one who is offering it, and it is offered for the sake of Brahman. And all actions, when they are offered to that Brahman, that offerer becomes Brahman. So this is generally a prayer used when people take food, in our ashrams and all that. Before we take food, we chant this prayer. So this is the highest vision of yajna. The highest vision of yajna is the Lord is the one who is offerer, and the Lord is the one who is offering, and the one to whom it is offered. Now, again, taking the context of Vedic thing, yajna is offered to different deities. So each of us sometimes have different Ishta Devatas, or some of us may not even have any form, right? But we take on some attribute, some form, or something to whom we are offering. But ultimately, all this offering is going to that Supreme Lord, that Supreme Consciousness, whether in Saguna or Nirguna, in form or formless, in attribute or attributeless. It is going to that Supreme. But we superimpose something. If I am a devotee of Lord Shiva, I feel like I'm offering this to Lord Shiva. And for different purposes, it is offering to different things. So you have a certain need, like you have a certain, like, popular one in most traditional families is, offering to Lord Lakshmi, because Lakshmi is a means of wealth. You especially, yes, I mean, it's nothing wrong. It is meant for, especially so you can have a financially secure life. So you offer that. Then most important worship is also Ganesha. So when we worship Ganesha, we take that form of Ganesha, but that Lord Ganesha itself is worshipped as a supreme deity. There's a Ganesha Atharva Shesha. So there it is said. Tvam Brahma, Tvam Vishnu, Tvam Rudras, Tvam Agnis, Tvam Indras, Tvam Vayus. So it goes on like that. So you are everything. So I'm offering to you as an offering to everything. So all this is yajna. So every form of puja, upasana, practice, worship we do is a form of yajna. But the literal meaning of yajna is a Vedic one, where there is a fire and you're offering in that fire. So the idea is that which is of lesser value for you, and that which you're attached to also as a lesser value, you're offering in order to get something higher. So a physical object which is in that physical form is offered to that Lord. Ideally, you're offering it not for something a physical, but something greater you're offering. So generally, in this context, yajna is done for the people, who are doing it something for the collective well-being. Like the kings would do yajna for the collective well-being of all the subjects, or sometimes for harmony of nature. Like if there is too much of problem, there is floods and fire and all that is happening, then you do that yajna, you invoke a certain deities and you appease them through that yajna. So the idea is that lesser gods whom we worship, they are the representation of the Supreme Lord, yet these lesser gods bless us. But it will come later also in the Bhagavad Gita. While we are worshipping these lesser gods, we should not forget that Supreme God, that Supreme Lord. Because we should not get attached just with that lesser Lord, or we should not take that a form of our deity is an independent form. That is again, missing that supreme essence. So every form we worship, we can worship any form, especially from Vedanta perspective, whether you are a devotee of Krishna or Shiva or even Christ or Jehovah, whom it doesn't matter. Uh, You should have that ultimate vision that I am worshipping that supreme essence, which is not different from me. So that is the idea. So from that perspectives, yajnas are supposed to be unselfish, meaning you are doing for something bigger, something higher. So also another perspective is we say generally that yajna from a Vedic perspective is fire. But now, when we do worship, many times we sometimes, in Himalayan region, we offer a lot of times to Ganga. Flowers, people offer flowers to Ganga. And, the lot of like some things which water, which gets dissolved in water. Not like plastic related stuff, but anything which is natural thing, you offer it back there. So that is the again a form of yajna. It is a form of what we call as arpana. You are offering to that nature. All these aspects of nature we can offer. Fire is the most intense form, but we can also offer to water, air, akasha, everything. So all this are also considered yajna. And of course, the Vedic yajnas are part of mostly what we call as karma kanda. So ultimately, the person when he comes to Vedanta, a physical thing is a sannyasi. A sannyasi, when he becomes a sannyasi, the last yajna he will do. He will do one last yajna, which is called as Viraja Homa. So in that yajna, he will offer everything. And after that, a sannyasi is not going to do any more yajna, because he is no longer having any goal in mind, worldly or other worldly goals in mind. So that is an ideal idea of a spiritual sadhana. The goal, we have to come to this complete essence of nishkama. So karma yoga is also like that. Now, why I'm talking about this is now the Lord is going to talk about karma yoga. And Lord is saying that karma yoga is a form of yajna. So, what is it that you're offering in that fire in terms of karma yoga? So, here, all your actions, whatever actions you're doing, physical, verbal, mental, all these actions are like that ghee or whatever is that which is put in that fire. And what is that fire? That fire is that yoga that is happening, that karma yoga. So yoga is here, as the Lord said, there are only two yogas. There are only two paths. What are the two paths the Lord has said? Just in the few months, he said there are only two paths.
Jnana karma.
Sankhya yoga, karma yoga.
What Jagdish you already saying?
Sankhya yoga and karma yoga.
Very good. Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga. So either Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, or we can say Karma and Jnana. So these are the only two paths the Lord has talked about. But out of this, there are so many others. The yoga, especially, when we talk about the path of yoga, it is mostly representing all these things: karma, bhakti, dhyana, and all these things. So all these actions is this form of yoga. That is that fire. And the highest fire, the Lord will say, is the Jnana Agni. That fire of knowledge will burn everything, all our ignorance, all our actions, all our past karmas, which keeps us bound, all our negative mental impressions, which keeps us addicted to worldly things. All those will get burned. How? Through Jnana Yagna. Not the Jnana Yagna means the ritual of knowledge, or that offering, to offer the fire offering, in that you're making. And then where does all this go? It's that all your actions, what happens? So these will give result. The pala in a normal person who does yajna. Sometimes a king may do yajna so that he becomes the greatest king, or that his all his dynasty, his and his children, his later generations, they will be kings for many lives. So that is the traditional. Sometimes they will do yajna. Or there are other things also. There's putreshti karma, people who don't yajna. There is people who don't have children, they also do yajna. So all these results are there, right? But here, when you do karma yajna, that in that context of karma, when you offer your actions to that Lord, or your actions in that karma yoga, then the result is chitta shuddhi, meaning you're mentally purified because there's no bondage. Otherwise, what happens? Karma bandha, he says, right? So otherwise, what would have happened is you would have got stuck in karma bandha. So this is the ninth shloka. Yajnartha karma karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhanaha. So the world is bound by actions, except those which are done in the form of yajna. Tadartham karma kaunteya. So you perform your actions. How do you perform your actions? Just as you're doing yajna. Okay, so this point now, this is the important point, and based on this, now a lot of shlokas will come in this chapter and the next chapter also. So wherever we get confused, we can remember this. Now he gives another example in the shloka 10. He says, Saha yajna praja sruštva purovacha prajapatihi. So there is a Prajapati. Prajapati is the creator. He's like the Brahma, the Brahma who creates this world. So in the beginning of that creation, he created mankind. Meaning he brought this creation along with this yajna, meaning this workings of yajna, or this what do you call this technology of yajna. He kind of invented along with the creation, meaning it is inherent in the creation. So those who have any kind of things they want, meaning ideally a noble desire, anena prasava prasavishyadvam esha va astu ishtakamaduk. So this yajna becomes a form of getting whatever you want. So we say this also, right? Like, why do people worship God? Why do people pray to God? At the most basic level, when a person gets interested in God, he's looking for something. He wants God to relieve him of some suffering, or she wants to get some kind of result, something to happen in our life. So that is why we pray to God, initial thing. So similarly, this praying to God is a form of yajna. So everything in this life is based on this kamaduk. Kamaduk means there is a cow called as Kamadenu. This is a old story. There is a Kamadenu is a cow which will give you anything you want. There is a cow in the Indra Loka, in the heavens. There is a cow. So what does this cow do? Anything you want, it will give you. You go and ask that cow, I want this. Of course, it doesn't mean literally like anybody can ask. Those who are eligible, they can go and ask. They can get whatever they want. So this is where, there is a little story, a story of Vasistha and Vishwamitra. So Vasistha was that sage. He had a cow. He had the cow with him. So Vasistha, Vishwamitra was the king. So the king comes to this small kutir in the forest, where along with a lot of his people he comes, and he sees that there is a kutir there, and he goes and tells that sage there, oh, yeah, we are all hungry because we are lost in the forest. We've been walking and we saw your kutir and we came upon you, but we know that you cannot feed us, but can you tell us where we can get food, or how we can get food? So the sage says, don't worry, just all of you sit down and I will get you food. He says, we are so many thousand of people. He says, no problem, I'll feed you all. So the sage feeds them all. And Vishwamitra is surprised. His name is not Vishwamitra at that time, he was a king. He's very surprised and he says, how did you feed us all? He says, I have a cow. And this is Indra's cow. I mean, this is a special cow that was given to me. And this cow, whatever I want, it will give me. So the king is the one who has not controlled his desire, right? The sage has that thing who has controlled his desire. And he says, of course, there he says, you cannot get it because you're a kshatriya, I'm a brahmana, he says. Meaning, idea is, brahmana is, we take it as a caste thing, but a brahmana is that knower of Brahman. He has knowledge. The person who has knowledge, he has the wish fulfilling cow. That is what it said, because he will not misuse it. So the king is a kshatriya. He says, I also want to have that cow. So he says, then you have to become a brahmana like me. So of course, there he doesn't mean you have to be born as a brahmana. You have to become a realized person like me. So then the whole story goes, he becomes angry and he starts fighting with the Vasistha, and uh, after a long battles, he goes through different siddhis, and it's a whole journey he goes through. He gets different siddhis, different tests in life, until when he has not controlled his anger. He's supposed to be very angry. He gets angry and he curses people. So until he is not able to control his anger, so what does it mean? What is the source of anger from our second chapter? What does it mean for him to control anger? What should he control in order to control anger?
It's karma.
Kamat krodho vijayate. Until he has controlled desires. So you cannot, so it is almost a, what do you call, like a um, contrary thing. The moment you control desires, you'll get the desire fulfilling cow. so, so this is a story of Vishwamitra. So finally he controls his desires and he gets that status of Rishi, Brahma Rishi. Okay, so this is the part of the yajna. Now we are running out of time, so we will leave it at this. So the basic idea with this is we have to understand Yagna in Gita, in Bhagavad Gita, Yagna is this thing of where one gives up, learns to give up one's raga dvesha. So it is a form of doing all activities without attachment, without clinging to things, and yet not giving up actions. So that is that perspective in which it is being done. So in the sense, we will see later on that all the sadhanas we do are also taken as yajna, meaning whether we are doing bhakti or we are doing anything, So here what happens is ultimately when the sadhana matures, we are not attached even to the sadhana. So that is the idea, Then we come into the state of naishkarmya, this state of beingness where we are free from all actions. So the action that is being prescribed for us, whether it is karma yoga, bhakti yoga, or dhyana yoga, or raja yoga, either of these three, whichever actions we take, and ultimately jnana yoga, of course, all of this are like this. sadhana which we cling on to until that final stage. Then by itself it will fall away. Okay, we will leave it at this. Any questions, comments, people? Okay, if there's nothing, I'll maybe just use the time to just show something. There was a word which came, which was called as niyatam, in the in that the Lord tells him, do your karma, meaning do your regular duties. The Lord tells him to do. Oh, okay. I don't have my projecting thing anymore. Okay. All right. So the Lord I talked about niyatam. So there we will discuss maybe in the next class. So that is what is niyatam and what are the different karmas. Meaning the niyatam is the nitya naimittika karma, and all are different karmas are there. Uh, so here the Lord is talking about nitya naimittika karma. So do your nitya naimittika karmas, not the karmas which you are doing out of desires, which is kamya karma, or even the what is called as the nishiddha karma, things which is forbidden for you to do, depending on your ashrama. Those karmas also you should not do. But you can do those which is karma. And then the other thing I was talking, when the sadhana matures, when our sadhana matures, what happens to the sadhana itself? From a proper Vedanta context, the example given is of a kataka. There is a jalakataka nyaya. There is this kind of a what you call like a nut or a nut powder, you can say. Olden days they used to use this nut powder. So if there is a glass and then the glass is dirty and it has a maybe like a tight neck, you can't put your hand all the way to clean that glass. So how do you clean that glass? So olden days what they would do is they would put this thing called kataka. It is a nut. I don't know what is the now name for it. So that nut or that nut, what happens is it has a dissolving thing, and yet it is somewhat like a soap kind of thing. So when it goes into that water, it will clean the thing. And what will happen to that kataka? That kataka also will get dissolved. So all the sadhanas are like that. We may sometimes people ask this, what if I get too attached to sadhana? See, usually when people ask, they don't want to do sadhana. That is why they ask that. But so people say this, what if I get too attached to meditation? What if I get too attached to studying and all that? So the idea is that when you get into these kind of sadhanas, the proper sadhanas, prescribed sadhanas, those sadhanas eventually will fall away when you realize that ultimate. Like that kataka, it will dissolve itself. Okay, so we will leave it at this. Nobody has any questions. We will end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Krishna Arpanamastu. Okay, namaste.